Welcome back to the channel. And it's another, bro. I don't know how many of these I've made, but it's another episode of I've read this article so you don't have to. And this one is about Mass Effect. And to start off, they call it Mass Effect 5. I know they're not a fan instantly. If you call it Mass Effect 5, I know you're not a fan of BioWare. But that out the way, I read this article so you don't have to. And it's about Mass Effect. And it's not like I read these articles just to hate them. No, no, I read these articles so you don't have to, and I can tell you what the fuck they're about and how I feel about it. But look, this one, understandable to a degree. If Shepard is alive in Mass Effect, the fourth game, hope we don't play as them. I have that same sentiment. I've talked about this before. I don't want Big Shep to be the next main character. Why? Because Shepard, you can't progress him anymore. Or her. Fem Shep, Peak Demon, you can't progress Shepard anymore. They can't force it I don't want them to force Shep to be in a new universe without his people. It doesn't make sense. The whole trilogy was Shep and the crew. That crew is gonna be gone. Liara's like 600. That crew is going. If they bring Shep back and he doesn't have the crew, nothing works. Romance doesn't work. Fucking character development doesn't work. Cause what the fuck does Shep do outside of time? All his people are gone. Is it going to be a strange thing? I mean, I'm gonna play the game they craft. If it's Big Shep, I want to see what the fuck they do. But me personally, I wouldn't want Shep to be there. If Shep is there, I want to hear about what Shep did after we beat the Reapers. That's all I want to know. If we play a little sequence, we stop motherfucking Harbinger ass, and they give us like some cutscene of you living happily ever after as Big Shep, that's fine. But they definitely need to start anew. But this article is on that bullshit. This article is on that bullshit because they're not fans of BioWare. You can tell by the Mass Effect 5 in the motherfucking title, in the motherfucking main paragraph. You know they're not a fan of BioWare. And they take shots at BioWare that shouldn't exist. They start off by saying, they don't dislike Shepard. They got fond memories of playing through the game. But then they go on to say, like, Shepard Shepard isn't a customizable character. By today's standards, Shepard is not a customizable character. And I'm like, all RPG characters aren't built the fucking same. And they have to reference Baldur's Gate 3 because everybody fucking glazed that game in the media. No players are glazing that game, but the media glazes the fuck out of Baldur's Gate 3 to hell. And that shit wasn't even fun, bro. Holy shit. But let's get back to this article. Because they mentioned Baldur's Gate 3. And how customizable. And I'm like, did you play Baldur's Gate 3? Because you can't do that much character customization in Baldur's Gate 3. You can pick a class, but it's a dungeon crawling game. It's a Dungeons and Dragons game. They always have more class systems than a fucking sci-fi game does. But, they take that notch. You can't customize Shepard that much. You have a little backstory here and there. But I'm like, BioWare always made games where the world was the RPG element. And then Dragon Age was the one where the characters was the RPG element. But it's like saying Shep is not an RPG character. It's like saying Cloud is not an RPG character. Cloud is a static nigga. You can't even change what he looks like. But you RPG as Cloud. You literally roleplay as Cloud. That is how Shep works. But they don't understand it because why? They're not fans of BioWare. And that's why Dragon Age was a different game. When they made Dragon Age like Mass Effect with Veilguard, I enjoyed Veilguard, but a lot of people were saying that this is not Dragon Age. Why? Because now you're RPGing as a character, and the world is like what you do. That's a Mass Effect thing. Because in Dragon Age, the character is the role playing thing. You make a character, you role play the nigga. I mean, they kind of did away with it again because Hawk was like that. Hawk was like shit. And motherfuckers love Hawk now, but back in the day, motherfuckers hated that shit. Why? Because it was so different from Dragon Age Origins. But back to this. They mentioned Baldur's Gate 3. And they're like, oh, we need more role-playing elements. I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's not a Mass Effect thing, but understandable. You want more RPG elements in the Mass Effect game. They tried to give you that. Nobody liked it. But hey, it must not be me. But then they go on to say that they want Mass Effect to introduce playing an alien as the main character. And I'm like, I know you're not a fan of BioWare now. You've never been a fan of Mass Effect. Don't you fucking lie to me. Because Mass Effect has always been a human story in a grander scheme of the universe. Why the fuck would you play as an alien? Why the fuck would they let you play as an alien? This game is about the human perspective of the universe. Why the fuck would they make the alien the main character? How would that relate to humanity coming into the grander scheme that was the Milky Way galaxy? Did you forget that part? Of course they did, bro. They played Baldur's Gate 3. They played Baldur's Gate 3. They got Baldur's Gate 3 on the brain. They don't even remember what Mass Effect was about. They don't remember the struggles and trials and tribulations that humanity went to get Shep to the point where he was at when you start the game. They don't give a fuck about none of that. They threw that shit out the way when they played Baldur's Gate 3. They don't even... Everybody just want a skin of Baldur's Gate 3 now. They don't want games to be different no more. And I'm like, that's what this article is? A glaze fest for Baldur's Gate? Using the Mass Effect name? That shit annoys the fuck out of me, bro. When they was like, we should be able to play as aliens. No, nigga, because that's not the story of Mass Effect. Mass Effect has always been a human story. Why the fuck would you... Like, you could want to play as an alien. That's why they had the multiplayer. You can play as any alien you want. I played as a collector. I was dominating shit. I played as the Edie bot one time. Dominating shit. But the main story of the Milky Way is from the human perspective in the grand scheme of the galaxy. And you like, I want to play as an alien now. Just because you want to be something different. No, that's not Mass Effect, bro. Go play something else. Go play something else. Because that's why people play Dragon Age. Because you could play as an elf. You play as Kunari. They added Kunari in. That's why people hated Dragon Age 2. Remember that. Because you played as Hawk. Hawk was a human. Hawk was just a human, nigga. You couldn't be an elf. You couldn't be anything else. You couldn't be a dwarf. You like a human, nigga. Because they wanted to tell an isolated story. And Mass Effect has always been an isolated story. And you role play the world around you. You're big shit. How are you tackling these problems? That's exactly what Mass Effect has always been. And they're like, I don't want that. So you don't want Mass Effect. That's exactly what you don't want Mass Effect. You don't want a BioWare game. That's exactly what this article is saying. And I'm like, that is fucking tragic. That is tragic. You don't want a Mass Effect game. You don't want a BioWare game. And I said this before. I said this on live stream. I said this in a couple of videos where I was playing BioWare games. BioWare games are not for this time. BioWare games can't succeed in this time. Because it seems the people that think they like BioWare don't want BioWare games. The way BioWare creates games is kind of fell to the wayside. They're in a minority now. The gaming industry has moved on from the RPG creations that BioWare have created. BioWare can't create a game that reaches the masses anymore because they don't want that type of game anymore. And people have to come to terms with that. The next Mass Effect game is not going to be a dramatic success. People are going to call it a failure. Why? Because it doesn't reach a lot of people. But this article is definitely telling that they don't want a BioWare game to begin with. They do not want to... Because if BioWare create a BioWare game, like they did with Dragon Age the Veilguard, it doesn't connect with this day and age. They said like, that's just kind of dated. No, that's how BioWare creates games. And their games are always evolving. They add new things, add new elements, they change things. But their core is always the same. And that core, people don't want that shit no more. And I'm like, damn, RPGing is going a crazy way. But I mean, Warhorse is coming up. Larian Studios finally gets the limelight. Hopefully they can hold on to that bitch. And I mean, Obsidian, their games tomorrow. I'm going to see what Avowed is looking like. But I mean, that might be the new big three. Obsidian, Warhorse, and Larian might be the new big three of RPGs. But we'll just have to see. Western RPGs anyway. But I'm going to end this right here. So thank y'all for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new. God damn these articles, bro. But hey, they keep dropping them. I'm going to keep reading them. I'm going to keep reacting to them. And I'll see y'all in the next one.